I'm going to go ahead and start the recording. Thank you very much. And I'm going to welcome to our workshop here, Giacomo. And Giacomo, I'm just so grateful that you could be here. I'm really so much more accustomed to seeing Giacomo in person, as you know, we've known each other for a long time. He's given so many of these workshops back when we were on campus at SDSU and at Miramar. And this is the first time we're doing a virtual workshop here together, and I'm excited about that. I would love to tell a little bit about Giacomo's business. I actually, Stephen, though, I know you had prepared a little bit of an introduction. Did you want to go ahead and let everybody know about Giacomo's background?
Yeah. So Giacomo, for those who don't know, Giacomo and Tanya were actually classmates in an MBA program, and that's how they met. And for those who don't know, Giacomo is one of the more, I'd say, influential local restaurateurs here in San Diego. Everywhere I go, I see him mentioned. I see him mentioned on the news. I see him mentioned on YouTube. Every time I'm looking up food in San Diego, it's always Giacomo's restaurants, including Ambrogio15. If you've heard of Ambrogio15, one of the best Italian restaurants in San Diego, Giacomo is the creator of that restaurant. And with that, I'll hand it off to Giacomo to talk a little bit about
actually himself. Can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
So that's just one of many of the restaurants that he's started. I was so impressed. How many restaurants did you have prior to age 30, Giacomo? Was it 5?
It was 3, and it's gonna be 5 in May this year. So
that's amazing, just amazing. So I just wanted to interject there. Take it away, Giacomo.
Yeah, so, well, nice to see you guys. It feels a little weird to do it online,
isn't it?
But we'll make the most out of it. So I put together a small presentation, but the way I usually like to talk about it is in a very casual way, because everyone can relate to restaurants. It's a type of business that you will always deal with, either as an entrepreneur, as a worker, or as a client. Let me see if I can share the screen here. Share screen.
Perfect.
Can you see it?
Yes, we can see now.
Yeah. So it's a fun business, and it's a business that obviously attracts a lot of people. I believe it's one of the most saturated industry in the United States and in the world in general. One of the most challenging in terms of margin, one of the most competitive. But the reason I like to talk about it is because it's also really fun. Like for me, since I started my first restaurant, Ambrogio, in PB 4.5 years ago, I feel like I stopped working and I started having fun. It's the type of, it's the fact that I own it. Obviously, when you work for yourself is always different, but it's a fun business. It encompasses every single aspect of a company, from marketing to HR, from finance to PR, and you get an immediate feedback and result from your clientele. You see them walking away happy, and you keep achieving results, and then you get to the point where you want to scale it, which is what we've been doing with my 2 partners, Luca and Andrea. And you take your opportunities. That's why the topic, big risk, big return, because in my journey, I saw it a lot of times. It's a ton of risks and challenges, but you can turn all of those into an opportunity. So we literally started like this, okay? This was after my MBA. We were still pretty young, 24, 25. I went back to Italy. I worked in consulting for Bain for a few weeks. Then I felt miserable. I hated it. It was Excel spreadsheets, 20 hours a day. So I called 2 of my best friends, and funny enough, Andrea, one of them, was a tiny student in a semester abroad at SDSU, and we started talking about opening a restaurant in San Diego, city that we all loved. I was the only one that worked in restaurants before. My partners had 0 experience, but we, little by little, step by step, we all learn how to do it. And now Ambrogio15 is #1 restaurants in San Diego County on TripAdvisor out of 3,000. Top 10 overall open tables in San Diego County, top 10 on Yelp. And in May, we're going to have 5 concepts under our umbrella, including a Michelin star chef partnership. So in 4.5 years, we went from zero, nothing, just opening a small, tiny restaurant to about 35, 40 employees. We expect $5 to $6 million in sales for 2021, even post-pandemic. And it's been really fun. It's been stressful, but the craziest thing is that like every little decisions that you do will open up opportunities. And if you don't like to take risks, I suggest staying away from it. One of my 2 partners, unfortunately, is not a big risk taker. So it's been a bit challenging from that point of view. And partnership is going to be one of those major obstacles, because having partners can be an asset or can draw you back. But for me, it's always like, if I want to make this happen, I need to suck up the risk part and do it, because otherwise you get stagnant, you don't grow, you don't change, you don't pivot, nothing. So it's literally every single risk is an opportunity if you do it the right way. So when we started Ambrogio, we had several obstacles that all of you can or will relate to at a certain point when you start a company, no matter what the business is. Raising capital, no? Friends, family, fools, #1 issue. Before you even get started is, are we gonna have the money? So what we did is we pitched our concept to our parents first. We received a pretty straightforward no. So I went and I pitched it to my parents' friends. And when I got 2 of them on board, and suddenly my dad's changed his perspective, and I was able to get him on board as well. It's a new job, so you need to learn about it. And the only way, in my opinion, to do it is to be passionate about it. I've seen people that are not passionate about the restaurant business struggling, because this is a very specific one. Maybe when you start a company that sells buttons for t-shirts, you're not going to be passionate about the final outcome and product. You could be passionate about the business around it. But here you need to love the final product, or you're not going to be able to transmit that passion to your clients. So we rolled our sleeves up and learned how to make pizza, which we never did. Andrea, one of my 2 business partners, he just graduated MBA at Bocconi, Milano, summa cum laude, and a few months later he was working in the kitchen, and he did that for 3 years. And it was essential, because much of the reason of our success is the fact that we learned to do it ourselves, from the dough to the gastronomy knowledge and the recipes and everything. Immigration, probably the biggest risk of all. And I don't know if there are any international students. I'll be happy to talk about it with you guys. Was really scary. We did everything without knowing for sure if we were going to get a visa, and that included investing almost $500,000, because that's how the process is, unfortunately. So that was like, it was either we do it and we take this chance, or let's just not even jump on it. And we decided to do it, and it was scary and stressful, but it worked. Location, that was an incredible story, because when we came to San Diego, where we all lived for a while, we were faced with this really big county, and which is kind of like, you're not in Manhattan where you can walk everywhere. So every neighborhood is different clientele, different people, different taste, different money, different income, different everything. So we were like, where are we going to start the first one? And that's where we were presented with the 3 different opportunities. And thank God we picked the Pacific Beach one, which sounded actually the least interesting at the time, because if we did pick one of the other 2, it would have been a disaster, and probably we would be done. In fact, there was an opportunity in Del Mar. It was a new project. And as of today, 5 years later, the landlord hasn't completed it yet. So it would have been a disaster, epic disaster. And the other one in downtown, we found out like just a few weeks ago that it already changed 3 ownerships in 4.5 years. Very challenging. The one in PB was interesting, and it was the first risk opportunity. The risk was, okay, we're opening a gourmet, sophisticated concept. Yes, it's pizza, but we're doing a high gourmet, high-end pizza in Pacific Beach, where it's mostly younger kids that like to party and go out, and probably are not gonna spend much of their income in gourmet food. But it was cheap to start because it was an existing restaurant that we bought out, and it was quick. And so we kind of did a quick evaluation. We were in a huge time constraint. We had only 1 week to make a decision, and we had no other real opportunities. So we decided to take this risk, and then we decided, okay, we're gonna take this risk, and no matter the location, we are gonna work around it and make sure that we're able to get the right people. And then it turned out to be an incredible opportunity because it is in North Pacific Beach, and we were able to get the La Jolla people, Bird Rock, North PB, and then people from all around San Diego County. And we slowly grew our clientele. Just to give you an idea, the first operating year, we did about $720,000 in sales in PB. This year, we estimate 2.2 millions. And last year, during pandemic, we grew 40%. Why? It's an amazing neighborhood clientele. So what we were scared was going to be a difficult area turned out to be perfect during the current situation. Staff, you know, when they say one partner is, 2 partners is not enough, well, you plus another one or 3 is too many. It's very true. I have 2 partners, it's 3 of us, and it's been very challenging because luckily with one of them we share the same work ethic, and we're very passionate. The third one we've been struggling a little bit with. So that's another thing you want to consider when you start a business. You need to make sure you get in bed with the right people. And then the network. When we started Ambrogio, we were quite naive and young, and we kind of like trusted everyone from you know, a lot of people that I worked with in my previous job in San Diego with the restaurant. And if you're not cautious in that terms, then you might be screwed up. If you trust too much, you might get screwed up. At the same time, if you don't trust at all, you're not going to make any steps. And that's what you want to find, that balance. My main thing is when every door leads to another door, like a small opportunity or even a mistake can turn into something good if you pursue it. In fact, now we're in a situation of expansion and growth. We are going to have 5 restaurants by May. We own all of them. We have no debts. We have no private equity or VC money. So now we're in a situation where, okay, we have 5 concepts in San Diego County, 3 Ambrogio15, one of them with a Michelin star chef, with the goal of getting a Michelin star for pizza, which has never happened in the world so far. We have a pasta restaurant in La Jolla about to open, and we have an aperitivo place in La Jolla as well. We want to grow. How do we want to grow? We want to get new partners that are involved. We want to get private equity money. We want to keep reinvesting our profits. But here, so this is the slide that I was more interested in explaining, because it shows in a lot of steps what risks turn into opportunities. After, okay, we already talked about the pre-opening. So we opened the first restaurant. It starts pretty well. We were working there every day, so we're able to keep costs down, low rent, small size. I always recommend start small because you can control costs. And then after a year and a half, we start thinking about second location. And there is an opportunity on Kenner Boulevard in Little Italy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with. It's a very very trendy area for fancy American restaurants like Kenner Exchange, Juniper and Ivy, Herb and Wood, but smaller scale restaurants have been struggling. We didn't know much at the time though. And we had an opportunity because there was this investor in Italy. He owns a really big flour company. He was interested in expanding in the US market. He knew Andrea, my partner, and he said, okay, I'm willing to invest in the company. $1 million. So we were about to make the mistake of being like, wow, that's a lot of money, let's do it. And so we found this beautiful location on Kenner, really expensive, and we're like, let's go big. And then the deal started to show what the true nature of this guy was. So he wanted to invest money without taking any risk. So he wanted to use our first restaurant as a collateral. He wanted to have preferred dividends. And when we kind of like saw that, we were like, let's wait a second, stop, think about it. Like, we're not gonna do it. At that point was the first, so we spent a lot of time and some money too, attorneys, time. Okay, we're not gonna do this restaurant. But because we thought we had this amount of money, and we were doing a lot of research in the area, we received an opportunity, an offer from the Little Italy food hall, which didn't exist at the time, but it was a new project. They're like, oh, we know you guys want to open Little Italy. Why don't you drop this project and join us? We're going to do a food hall. You can have a corner, and it's going to be about 100K. So we were like, okay, let's do it. We dropped the investor. We used our own profit. We opened a smaller scale restaurant. Turned out to be a cash cow. In 3 months, we made the money back. And then we didn't take any major partners in. We had a new location that turned to be a flagship store as well. And we made money instead of investing a lot. The Kettner one hasn't opened yet, anything there after 3 years. So again, we turn a risk into an opportunity. Once we opened a Little Italy food hall, that brought us the attention of the rest of San Diego, not just PB and La Jolla community. And that's when this other landlord in Del Mar was coming out with a big project, and they reached out to us to do Ambrogio in Del Mar in a massive structure, 30,000 square feet that will host, it's going to open in May, will host 12 restaurants and 3 breweries. And at that point, we were the first tenant to sign. We were strong now with 2 locations, and we could make our own terms. And we were able to sign and build the location with our own cash. So losing that opportunity on Kettner got us the Little Italy food hall, which got us Del Mar. At that point, we're faced with another challenge. Okay, we're doing a bigger project, a very fancy design, investing a lot of money in a new area with a high power spending. Let's step it up. And that's when I reached out to this chef in Milano that we have common friends. He got almost 10 Michelin stars in his careers between Milan, Tokyo, and Paris. And I was like, how do you feel about doing the menu with us? And that's when we started talking, and it was a huge investment. It was a risk. Is San Diego ready for this? Are we okay with spending this amount of money? And I pressured my partners every day. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. It's a big cost, big risk, but the return turned out to be huge. Number one, the chef came to San Diego. We did a dinner at the end of January last year with 25 people. We made about 15 grand. So on average, people spend about $500 to $600 per person, because, you know, it was a kind of a very exclusive, the chef cooking table side straight for them. And we got the first return. 2 weeks, one of the journalists from Union Tribune came to the dinner invited by me. And 2 weeks later, we won Best Pizza in San Diego County. then suddenly we're packed. February 2020, right before pandemic, our sales went up 140% because of this article. So the risk of getting a Michelin star chef involved with its cost and everything open again a new opportunity, and boom. Since then, our sales skyrocketed even during pandemic. Major jump in brand awareness that brought more money, and we're like, let's reinvest this money. Let's hire new talent. We got a new chief marketing officer from a big hospitality group. We got a new GM and sommelier for the Del Mar location. And we added a lot of wines that we poured ourselves. So when pandemic hit, we got really scared. It was like, oh, we just hired two employees at about 100K each in salary. And we're doing all these investments. And now what's gonna happen, okay? And that's when we was like, okay, we're going all in. So we retain everyone. We try to be creative in the tasks that we gave to these managers, because obviously, you know, we were at a point where only delivery and to go, it's not easy. Our new investment were frozen because the locations were built, but they were not operating. And that's when we started pivoting. We did an online grocery store. We started doing a lot of catering. We became a major supplier of natural wines in the area. I had a customer that bought $10,000 wine. And then at the same time, we also had our two sister projects, Semola Pasta, that was already open at the Little Italy Food Hall, and Ciao Ciao Piadina with new partners. And those were risky projects too, but they brought really good opportunities. The Piadina project, which is opening next week in La Jolla, it's a sandwich shop with aperitivo, super pop. We invested $0, and we have 50% of the company due to our knowledge, brand, and goodwill. So we're starting to have some power in negotiation with partners. And all these projects bring new tasks, new costs, new problems, but also build the value of the company. Semola, the pasta restaurant that we opened in the Little Food Hall about a year and a half ago, didn't work there. Why? Pandemic, we opened 2 months before the area for sure, but it gave us the opportunity of turning around the concept. Let's leave Little Italy, let's leave the food hall, let's reopen it, which we're gonna do next month in La Jolla as a full-scale, high-end restaurant. So we'll learn from our expertise, the mistakes that we did, what we learned, and we're confident it's gonna be a major success. And then slowly, as we grow the company, new people are coming to, okay, I wanna invest. I wanna purchase an existing part of the company, or let's do a new company with the same brand. So we're facing all these decisions. We have a project that we're working on to open Ambrogio in Scottsdale with a mixologist. So it's gonna be pizza and cocktail. We have an opportunity in São Paulo, Brazil, one in Mexico City and one in Milano. And we keep evaluating every option, because even the one that seems the craziest can turn into an opportunity. Meeting people is essential. Talk to everyone, listen to everyone, because even if it sounds completely irrelevant, it could turn into an asset in the future and be a really good opportunity. And don't be afraid of all these risks from you know, raising capital to investing in growth or in research and development or in talent, because it's gonna pay back. These are some slides about the market gap, how we addressed it, our unique selling proposition, a lot of things that I learned in school that I applied to my company. So I think that's been a major reason of our success, is that me and my two partners were able to combine our business knowledge through school and the little amount of time we did working in corporation and our passion for gastronomy. But coming from business school gave us the tools and the vision to be able to run the group as a company and not as a mom and pop store, which is essential if you want to scale it, especially because none of us came from culinary school. The Michelin star partnership was a huge example of believing in something. It got us so much exposure in all the major network, and that's how you grow a company. What seems like a cost and a risk at the beginning, he has a huge payback in the medium long term. So you need to believe in that. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Giacomo. That was really, really a great history. I even was unaware of some of the things, and I didn't realize that you had pivoted so much to be selling those the wines, and it's so interesting there. So I see that there are a couple of questions or comments in the chat. If anybody would like to just shout out and ask your question, feel free to. Just make sure to turn on your microphone, and also to turn on your camera so we can see who you are. And yeah, questions.
Well, I had noticed that you had a coming up location for Del Mar at the end of 2020. Is that still the case?
And can you just let us know who you are, and if it's possible to turn on your video? If not, just at least let us know who you are when you're asking a question.
Oh, okay. I thought it would show up. My name's Cameron.
Hi, Cameron. Yeah, we have our major project was supposed to open April last year. The COVID slowed everything down, but we're opening May 27 in the Sky Deck at Del Mar Highlands. That's our biggest project so far, and it's going to be the partnership with the Michelin star chef.
I have a question. How many Michelin star chefs are there in San Diego right now?
There's only one restaurant with one Michelin star, and it's the first one that they ever got at Addison at the Grand Del Mar.
Okay.
So we're talking about a 5-diamond resort.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
It's my favorite hotel, and it's
I mean, the
delicious
chef
restaurant.
worked with Thomas Keller at the French Laundry, which I'm pretty sure everyone knows because of the scandal with Governor Newsom lately. But San Diego is, imagine a San Francisco with 1/4 of the population has 86 Michelin star restaurants.
Right. We have one. Wow.
So we are trying to pave the way, and we're taking a risk because people might not understand it, or we might shift a little too much from our core, but it's a risk that I'm willing to make to grow the brand.
Yeah. Other questions?
I got one. Do you import most products from Italy to make it taste?
Everything. So we actually developed the whole project in Italy. So
Okay.
we like most of the restaurants here, and I've seen it myself, they get distributors that go to the restaurant and the chef pick from their portfolio. We do it the other way. We choose what we want in Italy. We find who imports from them, and we get the products. And certain things we import directly ourselves.
Makes sense. Thank you.
I had a question.
I was just wanting to say it's essential that like the quality of the product of the raw material is essential for us. So we're never gonna compromise on that.
I had a question too. This is Enzo. First of all, thank you so much, Giacomo, for being here. I'm also an international student. I'm from Brazil, actually. And I was wondering the process for you to come here, get the visa. I assume it was the investment visa. If you could talk a little bit.
It's investor visa. I feel quite confident to tell you it's the only visa where you have good chances getting, because I've seen so many people, including myself, trying to go for H-1B after an MBA, and it just doesn't happen. It's very risky because the way it's structured is that you need to invest everything and be ready to open in order to even apply for it. So in the case of a restaurant, it needs to be almost ready to go, which means you already invested everything, and then you can apply for a visa, and you might still get rejected. And then at the point you're like, what am I gonna do now?
Out all of that money. And is there a minimum amount of money?
It's not specified. They talk about substantial investment. I've seen as little as 50K partner to $1 million, but the key factor that they look at is that the business is it's real.
Out.
It is gonna hire Americans.
Right.
So you can't starting a consulting company in your bedroom. Okay, it's not gonna work, and just buy few computers and equipment. You need to have a viable business. In the restaurant field, the people that I've met that applied for it, they all got it. So they make it sound more difficult than it is, but once you invest the money, and you know there's like a purchase agreement, or you already paid the contractor to build the place, and you get a brand and a trademark and everything, then it's feasible. It's your best shot for sure.
Right. And, you know, honestly, I think that you think that it's actually easier than it is, because I've seen a lot of businesses not go through, but primarily it's like you said, they don't understand what's expected of them, and they end up submitting applications with businesses that are like in the gig economy, like consulting businesses and things like this.
And consulting is the main example, because it sounds a bit shady, but even tech apps can be challenging. So everything that's restaurants, cafe, these places, like they know that you're going to hire people, and you're investing in fixed assets and stuff. So it's a little tricky, but I mean, it is your best shot. And I think this is important, because they don't tell you in career fair. I did a lot of those through SDSU during the MBA. I'll give you a very, very simple example. One of my best friends, he got his master in law at Stanford, top of class, got the bar, passed the bar in New York, went to work Cleary Gottlieb in Manhattan, 150K first salary. At the end of the first year, they told him, we are not going to sponsor you an H-1B. It's a pain in the ass for us. It's risky. We're going to double up your salary if you're willing to relocate to London. So it is very difficult to get a visa if you're not investing money. So if you want a visa and want to work and stay in the US, that's the way you have to go. Yeah,
that's the best way that I've seen, to get a visa. Almost.
I don't want to ruin your expectations, but you need to be realistic. H-1B nowadays is almost impossible, especially after pandemic.
So I see a hand up. Oh, sorry, Enzo, did that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just gonna say thank you. Yeah, I heard that H-1B is practically impossible right now. So good to know that at least some fields.
You don't waste your time trying to pursue something that has very low chances.
So Christina, you had a question? And you're on mute. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Hi, Giacomo. I just wanted to ask a little bit about what were some of the factors that you considered when you were looking into your location and assessing the risk there. You had mentioned that a lot of the places that were kind of in the running ended up, you noticed that like businesses after businesses failed there, and like how did you foresee that when you were choosing your first location?
So what I've learned so far is that it's almost impossible to know what a good location is, no matter how much effort and research you put into it, because it could be a good location for a concept, it could be a horrible location for another concept. Like I'll give you an example. Little Italy, you would think it's perfect for an Italian restaurant. I would tell you that it's the worst you can get if you want to do a good Italian restaurant. But I learned that with my experience. Okay, I see that what I do in Ambrogio and PB and what I'm gonna do in Del Mar, I cannot do in Little Italy because of the clientele. It's a lot of tourists. It's a lot of people that want cheap, easy food, and the competition that's there prove them right, because that's what they get in the other restaurants, so they expect the same. in North PB, which at the beginning I thought, well, it's going to be the, PB crowd. No, it's actually a lot of grad students, a lot of tech people that live in North PB, Bird Rock, and La Jolla. They enjoy spending money for good food. So there is not an exact answer. For sure, what you want to put on the, what you want to weight when you are considering is the different costs associated with the different locations, like rent, like possibility of having a liquor license. But mostly, and this is the most important part, you need to meet your clientele demand. Then you can teach them, you can grow them, you can guide them. But from what I've learned in my experience is open where your target market is. Know your target market. That's the most important part. In Little Italy, they don't appreciate what we do. In North PB and in Del Mar, they do and they will, and I know for a fact. And then the restaurant business is a perfect example where I strongly recommend purchasing an existing restaurant. Can be cafe, bar, anything, rather than building from scratch. Building from scratch takes a long time. It's a lot of unexpected costs. When you buy a place out and you turn it around, you have an upfront cost, but it's faster and it turns to be cheaper. So it's a major element because there's not a lot of places that are good locations to buy out and turn around. So it's going to limit your spectrum of possibilities.
I'll say this, Giacomo, one major misconception that we see in entrepreneurship all the time, people think it's cheaper to start a business from scratch than to buy an existing business. And that is just not true. The opposite is 100% true. Yeah. And and as much as possible, I try to encourage people.
Absolutely. I've seen it. The Del Mar project, we're really excited about it, but it cost us about $300,000 more than we expected. And it took about a year and a half longer than we expected because there's so much unknown, like so many surprises. It's impossible to even forecast. Yeah. So that's it. Then when you pick location, my main suggestion is know your target market, because it's easier to start in a place where they appreciate your product.
That's great advice for any entrepreneur anywhere, right, in any industry. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. I love it. So
what did you do to open? I know you said you're importing products and things like that. Did you have contacts already, or were you using mentors, or how did you research the import?
And that's Cameron again. It's Cameron again.
Yeah,
it's Cameron. Yeah.
It's a mix. I had some network from I worked for a restaurant group about 2 years while I was doing my MBA, and the year after I graduated. So I had a network to start. That's one of the reasons I decided to start my first restaurant in San Diego. It's because I kind of felt like I knew the market and I had a network. Then it was just a small fraction, but that helped. And then it's being, put a lot of study into it, research, see who has what, prices, timing, and everything. And then you don't need to have everything right when you start. Then, you start with what you have, with the best you can do. And then as you go, you learn and you pivot it. There's not an exact answer. You need to be willing to be flexible. So you might start with 2 or 3 importers. I'll give you an example. When I opened the first restaurant, I imported myself 3 wines from Italy that I was passionate about. And I bought about 25 from here, from a mass supplier, actually the biggest one in the US. And it was kind of like a normal wine list. Now we have the biggest list of natural wines in San Diego County. We import all of them. And our most expensive wine at the beginning was $80, and now it's $300. And we sell a lot of those, and there's a huge marginality, but we got there. It's a process.
And it seems to me that businesses very often pivot, right? They think that they're going to be one thing and then they're something totally different.
You need to be flexible and willing to keep improving and changing where it needs to change.
Agreed.
But yeah, don't worry. You don't need to have all the answers before you start. Okay, get it open. Don't waste too much time. It's never gonna be perfect. So get it, whatever you do, get it open, get it started, and then you adjust, because you don't know what you need to adjust until you're open.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Back to that.
Giacomo, I have a question.
And who's this?
This is Mika. This
Hi,
is
Mika.
Mika. Hi.
Hi.
So your pivot, oh, sorry. So your pivot into the having a market, online market that you do, what kind of how significant was your investment to make that pivot?
It was not too big. What we did was back in March, when they first told us we were gonna shut down for dine-in, we got scared because we had no idea how long it was gonna last. So what we did is we thought very quickly, okay, we have some of the best ingredients in the county, and people are starting to be scared to go to the supermarket, right? They don't want to stay in line. Why don't we build an online grocery store? So we already had a platform for online sales, because we already taking to-go orders that we built in-house with our digital marketer. And so it was fairly quick. It cost us about $10K, and we made the money back in 2 months. And then that store has become permanent. So still now that we're back in business, people are still buying the groceries. So again, with that, we didn't want to get a fancy, online store right away. Let's do something basic, easy. People place the order, they have a time window to come pick the products up. We place the order with our suppliers, we get it to them at a price that's competitive with supermarket, but it's a product that's unique and difficult to find. And it helped a lot tremendously those months that we needed cash flow, and not just cash flow, we needed hope, because we had no idea what was going to happen. So we were quick in doing it, and then slowly, as months passed by, we reopened, we started putting a little more time and money into refining it, better platform, better pictures, better system of pickup.
I'm in a pivot stage right now, so I was interested to hear how you manage that.
Well, also, for example, the restaurant business obviously shifted a lot to the to-go and delivery method. So when I thought about opening the first restaurant here, it's not like a pizza was my biggest passion, but I wanted a product that would give me certain level of confidence that would be more risk-proof. And that actually turned to be great, because in a recession or in a moment of crisis, it's a product that appeals to everyone. It's easy to deliver. It's actually the first one that comes to people's mind. So when we got to March last year and everything went upside down, we already had a delivery system in place and online order and everything. But we did pivot the concept. We created a hybrid model. So now that we're open back in business, we're still doing 30, 40K a week almost in delivery and to go. But we are changing the model. So there is a different offer almost, whether you dine in, and you need to try to be creative. Otherwise, there's so many restaurants that went down because they had no idea what to do in a situation like that.
Right. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Did we have any other questions from the audience? I will say that I believe it's your adaptability, Giacomo, that's made you so successful in everything that you do, and your willingness to go out on a limb, to take those big risks, and to listen to your customers, listen to what the customers are telling you, and then responding. I see so often it's the stubbornness, the pigheadedness of people who just they're unwilling to change. So
You need to know your market. But another big suggestion I can give you guys is like don't wait to start whatever business you have in mind. Don't wait for everything to be perfect. Okay, really,
it won't be.
like get it started. Then things you learn. I see me and my partners, we have so much more knowledge and now that we had 4.5 years ago, but you build new passions. I had no idea. I didn't know anything about wine, not just because I'm Italian, I need to know about wine before I open. Now I'm a sommelier, and I'm building this project, and we probably have the highest wine sales in any pizza restaurant in the world. About 40% of our sales are in wine. Yeah. And then new opportunities will appear. Now, I mean, we're trying to go international and trust partners, but don't trust them too much.
Right. Yeah. Good advice. I see a couple of hands here. I don't know if they've already been answered. Enzo or Stephen, did you have your hands up for questions or?
Yeah, I have a quick question. Nowadays, you see a lot of billionaires like Elon Musk and such saying that MBA is kind of useless. But from what I understood, you said that in your case was very useful. So what's your recommendation?
For me, it was essential. I think the forma mentis, the mindset that it gave me in approaching the business was huge. I see the difference that made for me in running my business compared to other restaurant owners. It was huge. The network, the confidence, it was incredible. I mean, and I'll tell you what, I did my undergraduate in Bocconi in Milano, which, you know, on Financial Times and Forbes is way higher than San Diego State, but I learned much more during my MBA at San Diego State because of the practical approach, the people I met. I had at least 4 professors that helped me during my journey with Ambrogio.
Yeah. And, you know, honestly, beyond those connections that you make in the MBA, I think that a lot of times it's a little bit of a shock value that people like to say, oh, you know, you don't need this. It's useless. But what I found also is that it's all well and fine when things are good to not have it. But then in bad times, gosh, it's so nice to have something to fall back on that you can know for sure that you've got. You know, I think not you, Giacomo, but
no. But when Elon Musk says that, it's too easy to come from him. The guy has a different set of brain. Like 90.9% of the people are not Elon Musk. Okay, right. So you cannot listen to him on that. Okay, right. It's for me, it's how the MBA shaped my approach, my mind. Maybe you don't see when you're studying statistical analysis, and I never applied certain things, but it's the mindset. That's the thing. It's how open you are to tackle things in a certain way.
I can see the way that you approach entrepreneurship and business, and it's obvious that it's from a perspective of somebody who has that foundation, that education, and I think, you know, from an outsider's perspective, I can see that makes a lot of success as well. So, agreed.
Then you combine it with your passion. Okay, I'm passionate about gastronomy, and there's successful restaurant entrepreneurs that come from that field. Okay, they could be chefs, but even great chefs. I don't know if you ever watch. It's interesting on Chef's Table. There's probably the most iconic episode is about Grant Achatz in Alinea in Chicago. I recommend everyone to watch it. That guy is called? Our Chef's Table. I think it's season 1. It's great.
Okay. It's on Netflix.
The guy is a genius, and the way he approaches risk is insane. But he still needed a businessman next to him to back him up and support him and believe in it, not just the gastronomy part. There's a moment where the restaurant is #1 in the US. James Beard, winner, 3 Michelin star. He says, we're going to shut it down for 6 months and change everything. He turned around the menu, he changed the decor, everything, because he said, I want to change it. And he became even more successful. Wow. And he even lost part of his tongue because of, you know, like a real bad form of cancer. And it just went by. And I recommend everyone to watch it. It doesn't apply just to restaurants, but I thought it was very inspiring.
Yeah. So we have a few more minutes here, and I know that there's a couple more questions. I see a question from Stephen, and then there's another question from Jocelyn. Stephen, did you want to go first?
Jocelyn, you can go first. My question is more of a fun one, so I'll save it to the end.
Jocelyn, are you ready? Ready with your question? She might be on mute. So if you're trying to speak, Jocelyn, we can't hear you.
Is that better?
There we can hear you now.
Okay. So when you were trying to start your business, did you think about starting the website when you were doing your process of creating your business, or after you?
The website.
I said, when you were creating your business, did you think of making a website before or after?
Before. So in the restaurant business, it's a little tricky. You don't want to spoiler too much. So what we did and what we're doing with the new concepts, you build build the back, and then you launch it when you're closer to the opening, but it needs to be ready to go. And for us, it was an essential part, not just because of, SEO and brand awareness, but when COVID started, we already had an online store system in place. So we were ready to go. If we didn't build that in advance, then in a moment of crisis, you're going to panic because you need to build that infrastructure and you're in a time constraint. So try to get all those things up and running before.
I'd say any business, any industry. Yeah.
Social media is huge. There's with the new location in the Mar, we're going to launch a new Instagram page. We have about 30,000 followers in the main one, but we're going to do a specific one. And we're already building content. We've been building content for months.
Yep.
With photographers, videographers, and then you launch it, but you need to do it in advance. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'd say every business, every industry, every business that there is out there, well in advance, you need your social media, well in advance, your website, well in advance, all of your digital marketing.
It's everything. Restaurants.
Yeah. Stephen, your question, we have just a couple more minutes.
Yeah. What is your, Giacomo, what is your absolute favorite thing to eat at any of your restaurants?
That's a good question. I would say, if you come to the Pacific Beach one, we have a new menu that's gonna be, it's kind of like a overview we're gonna do in Del Mar. So you have to try this pizza made by the Michelin star chef in Milano, because this guy, he got 3 Michelin stars in Tokyo. He has a huge Asian influence in France. He studied with Paul Bocuse in France. And we're translating, we're shifting or translating his food knowledge and philosophy and fit it into our frame. So we're doing Michelin star cuisine on pizza, which nobody ever done before. So
what's the name of the pizza that we should try then?
One of we are doing 3 pizza right now. One is called arrabbiata, which means angry in Italian.
Yeah.
It's an explosion of flavors. It's like we do 10 different preps of the ingredients, and then it's gonna kind of change your perception of pizza, which is what we're trying to do. We want you to see pizza in a different way.
All right, so we'll give the arrabbiata a shot. Give it a try next time we come up to Ambrogio15, and we're going to go ahead and put the address for Ambrogio15 in the chat. So if any of you want to go up and visit Giacomo's restaurant, in fact, we'll put all 3 of the locations there for you in the chat. Thank you to everyone for coming. Thank you, of course, to Giacomo for being here. It was just so great hearing from this young, successful entrepreneur. And mille grazie. We appreciate it. All right, everyone. Take care. Thank you.
To meeting you in person. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao. Ci vediamo.